Fears, nerves, nightmares, homesickness can be stressful for kids and parents, whether it's the first sleepover, going to summer camp, even when they grow up and go off to college.
Here with helpful tips to get your kids comfortable off their home turf, psychotherapist Gary Neuman and psychologist Dr. Robin Smith. Good morning to you both.
Morning.
Good morning.
Robin, let's start with you. What does it mean exactly to be homesick? Because it seems to me there are sort of degrees of homesickness. What is real homesickness?
Well, you know, it's interesting because often people think that homesickness is only about leaving your home. You actually can be homesick when you are at school. You can be homesick at home. And what that really means is when you're not feeling anchored and secure. I mean, that's what it is to be homesick, to long for the familiar. That thing which we feel that keeps us feeling safe.
And it's important to note there's not a 100% across-the-board cure-all here because homesickness can be different for every child, right?
Sure, it can be, but it's one of these great things, even though it's so intense, it's a wonderful teaching moment for parents because we actually teach our children how to be less anxious and how to be able to manage their feelings. So we can give them some tools to help them shift their direction and their mental state. There's an interesting, something we can teach our children that brain science has taught us, and that is the human brain cannot keep two complete thoughts in its head at one time. So right now, if we're talking and you're trying to do math in your head, you can't do it, right? Well, you can't do math anytime. But, none of us. But anyway, but so just teaching a child that when you are homesick, what will you do about it? Read, take a walk, think of something else. You can actually replace the thought, and that will push the homesick feeling away.
Not to brag, I just completed the Pythagorean theorem while you were talking. So some of us can do well.
There you go.
Some of us are special. Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I was also wanting to add, which is such a great point, is that sometimes we get in trouble as parents or adults by comparing our children to their siblings. Right. So we'll say, you know, Joey didn't cry when he went to camp. Or on her first day of, you know, camp, Jessica was happy. Well, you know what your kid really wants to say? So what?
Right.
I'm not. And what they're really asking is, can you see me as a unique individual who has their own feelings? The other thing that Gary just brought up that's so important is not only that we not compare and that we can help kids see another path and route, but also that it's okay. That homesickness is actually not something to be cured. It's something to be understood, embraced, and managed.
So for those right now who have kids at camp or maybe getting those tearful letters home or getting on those phone calls, what advice do you give to them, Gary? I mean, do you worry as a parent? Do you rush to the camp, or do you make all those calls, or do you give them the little time and space that they may need?
Well, I have 5 kids, so I've done a lot of field work, and I've done all of those. But
That's a good point.
so, and that is the point you're
that's
making.
the point.
It is different. You really have to assess. So very often, if we feel that the camp is capable, so we try to push them and keep them there. If we get a sense that the camp is really not caring, or your kid's being bullied or something like that, you hear something, then you might have to interact. I do find that sometimes the phone calls work against you because it's such a connection that they get off and they're like, you know, so texting or the letters, a lot of letters back and forth, gifts, make sure they feel comfortable. They have the canteen money, they have enough stuff, and surely prepare them. Because I find what you were saying is that we don't tell our kids what will happen if you do feel homesick. We almost feel like we're afraid, like we're going to induce the problem.
Yeah,
don't you
almost
get that?
as if it would be contagious. If I bring it up, they might catch it.
But don't you find that kids feel more empowered if they know it could happen and you resolve with it?
Absolutely. That and what you're talking about is having a plan so that they know that not only is there a plan for reunion, but there is a plan that if this doesn't feel so good, Mommy and Daddy have helped me know how I can reach out, what support I can get at home, but also what support I can get at school or at camp.
A lot of parents and kids going through this right now as they send their kids off to camp and then soon back to school.